The battles that broke Persia, the untold story of the early Muslim expansion. What happens when an empire ruled by child kings, assassinated queens, and backstabbing generals faces off against a desert army led by a man who never loses? Why did the mighty Sassanid Empire, armed to the teeth, rich in silk and silver, crumble before warriors who rode camels and taxed less? How did Khalid ibn al-Walid, a man with fewer troops and no supply lines, outwit, outfight, and outmaneuver the greatest military machine of the East? And what do duels, desert ambushes, and a river turned red with blood have to do with the birth of one of the most powerful civilizations in history? This isn't just a story of conquest. It's a tale of collapsing empires, divine ambition, and battlefield brilliance. It's about how a new faith, born in the sands of Arabia, rose to challenge the old world and won. So if you've ever wondered how history can be more thrilling than fiction, why tax policy can win wars, or what happens when a general hides his cavalry in the desert just to spring the perfect trap, stay with us. Because this is the story of how the Rashidun Caliphate rewrote the fate of the Middle East and changed the world forever. It was a time of empires and exhaustion. The Middle East, cradle of civilization, was a mosaic of ancient cities, sacred traditions, and imperial ambition. But beneath its golden domes and desert sands, the region trembled. 3 empires loomed, 2 locked in a centuries-long death grip, and 1, a desert-born force, quietly gathering strength. 3 religions clashed: Orthodox Christianity, Zoroastrianism, and a new, untested faith called Islam. The year was 622. The world was about to change forever. The Roman Republic had once stretched from the Atlantic to the Euphrates, but in 53 BC, its eastern ambitions were shattered at Carrhae, where the Parthian cavalry annihilated a Roman army and captured its standards. That humiliation ignited a rivalry that would span centuries. Rome became an empire. The Parthians gave way to the Sassanids, a dynasty of fire-worshipping kings who claimed divine descent. The Western Roman Empire collapsed under barbarian invasions, leaving Constantinople as the last bastion of Roman glory. But the war with Persia never stopped. It was a war of attrition. Cities razed, borders redrawn, victories hollow. By the 3rd century AD, 2 Arab tribal confederations emerged from the sands of Yemen, the Ghassanids and the Lakhmids. The Ghassanids allied with Rome, the Lakhmids with Persia. They became the desert's cavalry, scouts, raiders, and guardians of imperial frontiers. But religion complicated loyalty. The Ghassanids embraced monophysite Christianity, a doctrine Rome deemed heretical. Tensions flared. Rome tried to suppress monophysitism, and the Ghassanids rebelled. Roman influence in the region waned. Meanwhile, the Sassanids grew suspicious of Christian influence among the Lakhmids. In 602, Shah Khosrow II executed the Lakhmid king al-Numan III and annexed the kingdom. The buffer was gone. The Arab tribes were divided. The Sassanid border was exposed. Khosrow III saw opportunity. Rome was in chaos. He declared war. The Sassanids surged across the Levant, Anatolia, and Egypt. By 621, they held the largest empire in their history. But Rome was not yet dead. Enter Heraclius, a Roman noble turned emperor in 611. He rallied the empire, fought the Avars in Europe, and struck back. Between 622 and 625, he won key battles. But Khosrow responded with fury. In 626, his general Shaharbaraz besieged Constantinople. Aided by Avars and Slavs, the city held. Barely. Then came Heraclius's masterstroke. In 627, he allied with the Western Turkic Khaganate and invaded Persia. At Nineveh, he crushed the Sassanid army. Ctesiphon, the Persian capital, trembled. Khosrow was overthrown. His son Kavad II signed peace. The war ended, but nothing was gained. Both empires were shattered. While empires bled, the Arabian Peninsula stirred. Its people worshipped many gods: pagan idols, Zoroastrian fire, Jewish law, Christian grace. The Sassanids held Mazun and eastern Yemen. The Romans traded with the merchant cities of Hijaz. Mecca, ruled by the Quraysh tribe, was a hub of commerce and pilgrimage. In 570, a boy named Muhammad was born into the Quraysh. He became a merchant, traveling across Arabia, encountering Jews, Christians, and Zoroastrians. In 610, he began receiving revelations. A new faith was born, Islam, but Mecca resisted. Persecution followed. In 622, Muhammad and his followers fled to Medina. This migration, the Hijra, marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar and a new era. War erupted between Mecca and Medina. By 629, Mecca fell. Muhammad sent envoys to Rome and Persia, calling them to Islam. The Roman envoy was killed in Sassanid territory. The Persian Shah insulted the messenger. A Muslim force retaliated but was defeated at Mu'tah. Still, the momentum was unstoppable. By 631, most of Arabia was under Muslim control. Muhammad died in 632. His companion Abu Bakr became the first caliph of the Rashidun Caliphate. Meanwhile, Persia was unraveling. Khalid II, who had made peace with Heraclius, died of plague in 628. His son Ardashir III, just 8 years old, was a puppet of the Parthian vizier Mahad-Arjushnas. The Persian nobility, divided between Parthian and Persian factions, turned on each other. General Sharbaraz, once a hero of the war, seized Ctesiphon in 630, killing the Shah and vizier. Civil war engulfed the empire. The Sassanid state, once mighty, was now a fractured realm of rival warlords, child kings, and plague-stricken cities. Its armies were scattered, its borders were vulnerable. Now pause for a sec. Step into the extraordinary. Subscribe to Eccentric Digital Pixel. Welcome to the wild frontier of creativity, where pixels pulse with imagination, and every frame tells a story you've never seen before. At Eccentric Digital Pixel, we don't follow trends, we bend reality. From surreal digital art to mind-blowing visual experiments, this is your backstage pass to the future of expression. Why hit subscribe? Get exclusive access to jaw-dropping digital creations. Be the first to witness new drops by turning on notifications. Dive into a world of eccentric brilliance that inspires, challenges, and captivates. Join a community of visionaries who crave the unconventional thing. Don't just scroll, experience the pixel revolution. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to never miss a masterpiece. Because normal is boring, and you were born to see the world differently. The Sassanid Empire, once a proud lion of the East, was now more like a confused house cat stuck in a sandstorm. With the central government in Ctesiphon unraveling faster than a Persian rug in a hurricane, the governors of Yemen and Mazun looked around and said, "You know what? We're good." They declared independence, probably with the enthusiasm of teenagers sneaking out of a strict parent's house. But independence in a region now crawling with ambitious Muslim armies? That was less freedom and more, "Please come conquer us." And conquer them the Rashidun Caliphate did, with the precision of a scalpel and the speed of a desert wind. Enter Sharbaraz, the general-turned-Shah who seized the throne in a coup so swift it made heads spin. Unfortunately, his reign lasted about as long as a desert mirage, just 40 days. He was assassinated, probably by someone who didn't appreciate his interior decorating choices. Then came Farrukh Hormizd, leader of the Parthian faction, who decided to shake things up by crowning a queen. Yes, a queen. Boran, daughter of the legendary Khosrow II, became the first woman to rule the Sassanid Empire. She was intelligent, diplomatic, and probably wondering why she'd inherited a kingdom that resembled a flaming chariot crash. But Boran's reign was short-lived. Shapur, son of Sharbaraz, overthrew her faster than you can say dynastic dysfunction. Farrukh, ever the peacemaker, or meddler, depending on your perspective, proposed a marriage between Shapur and another royal daughter, Azarmadacht. She declined, probably with a royal eye roll. Farrukh then did what any rejected suitor would do. He usurped the throne himself. That didn't end well. Azarmadacht's supporters killed him in 631 and she took the throne. But revenge runs deep in Persian politics. Farrukh's son Rostam marched on Ctesiphon, defeated Azarmadacht's forces, and restored Boran. Peace seemed possible. Piruz, leader of the Persian clique, agreed to stop the hostilities. Then Firuzan, clearly not a fan of stability, assassinated Boran in June 632. Rostam returned to the capital, probably muttering "not again," and both armies, exhausted from the endless drama, forced their generals to make peace. An 8-year-old boy, Yazdegerd III, grandson of Khosrow II, was crowned. The civil war was over. But the empire? It was a hollow shell. While Persia was busy playing musical thrones, the Rashidun Caliphate faced its own existential crisis. Muhammad had died. Abu Bakr, his successor, sent Usama ibn Zayd to raid the Ghassanids. But with the prophet gone and the army away, Arab tribes across the peninsula thought, hey, maybe this caliphate thing was just a phase. In July 632, nearly the entire peninsula rebelled in what became the Ridda Wars. Some rebels even declared themselves prophets, because apparently everyone wanted a piece of divine branding. Medina was under threat. Abu Bakr, calm as a desert hawk, marched out and crushed the rebels near the city in August. His army returned from the north just in time. Then, instead of clumping his forces together like a nervous camel herd, Abu Bakr split them into mobile units. These units darted across Arabia, defeating rebel groups with surgical precision. By March 633, the caliphate was back in control. The cost? Unknown. The gain? A battle-hardened army with desert-tested tactics and a taste for conquest. While Abu Bakr was wrapping up the Ridda Wars, Muthanna bin Haritha, leader of the Bani Bakr tribe, was raiding Sassanid territory in southern Iraq. He sent word to the caliph, "Hey, the Persians are too busy stabbing each other to notice we're here." Abu Bakr saw an opportunity. He dispatched Khalid ibn al-Walid, the Sword of Allah, to invade Iraq. Khalid raised an army of 18,000 and marched from Yamama in March 633. He sent a letter to Hormozd, the Sassanid governor of Dastmasan, demanding surrender. Hormozd replied with a polite, "Absolutely not," and asked the Shah for reinforcements. But Khalid was playing chess while Hormozd was still figuring out checkers. He lured Hormozd out of Uballa, then threatened Hufair. Hormozd, flustered, marched toward Hufair, exactly what Khalid wanted. Hormozd's army, tired and armored like walking anvils, reached Hufair. Khalid waited near Kazima, rested and ready. The Sassanid troops, baking under the sun in full gear, were forced to hold formation. Khalid emerged from the hills, and the duel began. Hormozd challenged Khalid. They dismounted and clashed. Then Sassanid warriors tried to ambush Khalid. Kaka bin Amr, a rising star of the Arab army, leapt in and helped Khalid kill Hormozd. Leaderless, the Sassanid army faltered. Khalid's infantry, mounted until the last moment, charged. The Sassanid center cracked. Their cavalry wings retreated. Khalid's horsemen enveloped the center. The battle was over. Casualties? Likely half the Sassanid army. Khalid's losses? Minimal. Yazdigerd III, still adjusting to his royal sandals, sent General Karind south with 15,000 to 25,000 men. Karind met the remnants of Hormozd's army and learned of the disaster. Then Muthanna appeared, scouting and harassing. Khalid, meanwhile, was recruiting more troops from Arab tribes. The Sassanids realized they weren't facing a raid. They were facing a full-blown invasion, led by desert warriors who didn't play by imperial rules. After the Battle of the Chains, the Sassanid Empire was reeling. But like any stubborn aristocracy, they weren't ready to admit they'd been outplayed by a bunch of desert horsemen. General Karind, tasked with salvaging the situation, looked at the map and made a decision that was half tactical genius, half desperate gamble. He sacrificed Uballa, a strategic city, to hold the river line and block Khalid's advance toward Al-Hira. Why? Because catching Muthanna's mobile Arab force in the open was like trying to lasso a sandstorm. The Sassanid army, weighed down by armor and bureaucracy, simply couldn't keep up. So Karind parked his forces along the Tigris, hoping to bottle up Khalid and prevent him from crossing westward. But Khalid wasn't interested in playing by imperial rules. Muthanna sent word. A new Sassanid army was moving south. Khalid, ever the pragmatist, didn't waste time. He sent a small detachment to take Uballa, just enough to make it look like he cared, while he joined forces with Muthanna for the real showdown. In the third week of April, the two armies met. The Sassanids had anywhere from 25,000 to 50,000 troops, depending on which historian was exaggerating that day. Khalid had around 18,000, bolstered by eager Arab tribes who preferred his tax rates to the Sassanid ones. Who knew tax policy could win wars? Khalid personally scouted Karind's positions and realized this would be a slugfest. No flanking, no tricks, just a brutal head-on clash. Both sides formed up. Infantry in the center, cavalry on the wings. The Sassanids, confident in their numbers and armor, kept their formation deep rather than wide, expecting to grind the Arabs down. Then came the duels. Karind, following Sassanid tradition, called for a champion's duel to inspire his troops. One of Khalid's fighters galloped forward and won. The Sassanid morale dipped. Qubaz and Anushjan, two Sassanid commanders, demanded a rematch. Arab commanders Asim and Adi answered and promptly killed them. Khalid saw his moment. He ordered a full charge. At first it was a disaster. The Arabs were pushed back, but the Sassanid lines, now leaderless and overconfident, lost cohesion. Khalid counterattacked, exploiting the gaps. The Sassanid rear tried to retreat, but the front was still engaged. Chaos erupted. The Arabs, lightly equipped and fast, chased the fleeing Persians to the river. Many drowned, some escaped, most died. Casualties: the Sassanids lost between 15,000 and 30,000. Khalid's losses? Mere hundreds. After the victory, Khalid didn't rush into central Iraq. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a strategist. He needed to establish administration, collect taxes, and avoid stretching his supply lines into unfriendly territory. He preferred fighting near deserts, where his mobility gave him the edge. He imposed the jizya tax, and the locals, probably still stunned by the speed of the conquest, agreed. Scouts were sent west and north. Meanwhile, Yazdegerd III, the boy king of Persia, received the bad news and ordered reinforcements to Ctesiphon. Yazdegerd sent 2 armies. The first, under Andarzaghar, moved toward Walaja, a key city between Uballa and Al-Hira. The remnants of Karinz's shattered force joined him, bringing his numbers to 25,000 to 30,000. The second army, under Bahman, was stationed along the Euphrates, ready to reinforce if needed. Khalid's scouts, local Arabs with a knack for gossip and stealth, knew everything. Khalid decided to strike Andarzaghar before Bahman could arrive. He left a small garrison at Uballa and marched west, recruiting more tribes along the way. His tax policy was winning hearts and swords. By mid-May, Khalid had 15,000 to 20,000 troops. He reached Walaja before Bahman. Andarzaghar, confident in his numbers, stayed put. The battlefield was a flat plain between 2 ridges. Both armies had their backs protected. Andarzaghar was surprised to see only footmen. Where was Khalid's famed cavalry? He didn't know that Khalid had sent his horsemen into the desert the night before. The battle began. Khalid led from the front. For an hour, the lines clashed. The Sassanids rotated their ranks, gaining the upper hand. Khalid's troops were pushed back toward the ridge. Then came the signal. Khalid's cavalry appeared on the eastern ridge, charging into the Sassanid rear. At the same time, Khalid's infantry widened its front, enveloping the wings. The Sassanid army collapsed. Andarzaghar was killed. Only 5,000 survived. Khalid lost around 3,000. His army was too tired to pursue. The survivors, mostly Christian Arabs, fled to Ulais. The survivors sent messengers to Christian Arab tribes in the northwest and to Yazdegerd in Ctesiphon. The tribes answered. Yazdegerd sent Bahman's army, but for reasons unclear, Bahman handed command to General Jaban. Jaban marched to Ulais, where the Christian Arabs were regrouping. Meanwhile, Khalid offered the locals a deal: pay the jizya tax and live. They accepted. Before we dive into ambushes, betrayals, and battlefield brilliance, here's your mission. No sword required. If you love stories that make history feel like a blockbuster movie, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and click the notification bell so you never miss a moment when empires fall and legends rise. We've got more jaw-dropping tales coming, from forgotten kings to fearless warriors, and the kind of drama that textbooks never dared to tell. So saddle up, follow us, and let's ride through history together.